I'm David Culver in Beijing, and this is CNN.
Call to Earth, in partnership with Rolex and their Perpetual Planet Initiative.
Across our planet, remarkable journeys are being made. From the tiniest warbler to the mightiest whale shark, nature is on the move.
Without movement, there's very little life.
It's a phenomenon closely studied by conservationist and bird lover Patricia Zurita.
The migration is mind-blowing. Just imagine something as small as a hummingbird crossing the Gulf of Mexico, or flocks of flamingos crossing over the Mediterranean. It's incredible.
She is the CEO of BirdLife International, and a huge part of her work is protecting migration pathways. As our guest editor for this show, Zurita has selected 4 conservation corridors under threat.
We're losing nature faster than we have ever seen in the history of the planet. And we are not ringing the alarm bells. For whatever reason, we're not reacting. You have mammals migrating, you have sharks migrating, you have bees and insects migrating. It is part of the system, it's part of maintaining the balance.
I'm Bill Weir, and this is Call to Earth, protecting nature's highways.
Birds are magical. The mere fact that they can fly, and the fact that there's 11,000 species in all types of shapes and sizes, what's not to love about them?
Patricia Zurita's obsession with birds began as a student in her home country of Ecuador. Today, she's working in the Doñana National Park with SEO, one of BirdLife International's 115 global partners.
We are in the southern part of Spain. It's one of the most important wetlands in the whole of Europe, and it's truly a safe haven for birds.
They are monitoring avian populations.
Really exciting to see these tiny little things.
Catching birds to check their health, measure them, then they tag them before setting them free.
So this is a garden warbler that came from sub-Saharan Africa. Go to Europe.
The majority of migrating birds travel along the world's 8 major flyways, and one of those routes passes over Doñana.
You have 2 billion birds using the Africa-Eurasia flyway that goes from Southern Africa all the way up to Europe and Asia. 2 billion birds. Can you imagine that? I mean, these are highways that are being used by these birds every single autumn and every single spring because they need to find safer places to nest and warmer places to winter.
The Spanish wetlands are the perfect place to take a break.
This is the pit stop. Doñana is the place where you fuel up. This is that piece of the jigsaw puzzle that makes everything work.
But in recent years, something has stopped working. Mass-scale monoculture of berries, which requires vast quantities of water in a region low on rain and economic opportunity. To support production and their livelihoods, farmers are sucking dry the aquifer, which is the underground water source sustaining the wetlands.
You have rows and rows and rows of strawberries. Yes, all of them look incredibly delicious, but it's like a moonscape. This is not nature. Something is completely out of balance. Over the last couple of years, the replenishment of the aquifer is not happening to the same levels that they were having in the past.
Farmers say new weather systems are to blame.
What is impacting the aquifer is climate change and drought. Those of us who are currently extracting water continue to extract the same amount of water we have always done.
But BirdLife International is concerned it's because of intensive agriculture as well as climate change.
That is going to completely destroy one of the most important wetlands for the Africa-Eurasia flyway. We are seeing populations of birds not being able to breed anymore. Zero breeding for the last years, for whisker terns, for example, that used to have thousands of babies here 5 years ago. That's not happening anymore. It's like you're having your car, okay? You're going in this very long journey in the highway, and then suddenly the petrol station doesn't have any petrol. You're doomed.
According to BirdLife International, the solution can be found in sustainable farming. A few miles down the road, a family-owned vineyard is making a living that doesn't cost the earth or the aquifer.
There's no irrigation lines here. They don't need harmful pesticides, and they are producing this amazing product that is actually economically viable for the local producers, and is the home of these amazing migrant birds that are coming from Africa.
Knowing how crucial this area is to bird migration distills Zorita's desire to protect it, and many other sites like it.
Work like the one that we do in Doñana is replicated all over the world. These amazing places can recover, but the minute that you give nature a chance, it bounces back. That we just have to give it a chance. I just hope that it's not going to be too late.
Coming up, from flyways to swimways, nature's highways are as important in the ocean as they are in the sky.
Explorers, adventurers, scientists, the ones who always broadened our horizons. We were at their side when they reached the deepest point in the oceans, the highest summits of the Earth, and both poles. We may think we've seen it all, that the world has its limits after all. But why do explorers, adventurers, scientists continue to venture out there again and again? Certainly not just for the record. So what do they seek, really? To understand more intimately how complex and delicate our planet is, to document its change and how we can affect it for the better. As long as they need it, we will be at their side. Because today, the real discovery is not so much about finding new lands, it's about looking with new eyes at the marvels of our planet, rekindling our sense of wonder and acting here and now to preserve this pale blue dot and make it perpetual.
Spanning over 600 miles along the coast of Central America, the Mesoamerican Reef is the largest barrier reef in the Western Hemisphere. And this Caribbean paradise is where shark expert and marine conservationist Rachel Graham focuses most of her work.
When I roll back from the boat and I'm going diving, I immediately enter my happy place.
Beneath the tranquil surface, it's rush hour for marine megafauna, such as sharks, turtles, and rays.
I like to compare a lot of marine species to us. Do we want to stay in our house all the time? We have to go out and we have to seek food. We have to go and maybe seek a mate. Sharks, rays, finfish, groupers, they're exactly the same. Where they eat is not necessarily where they rest. Where they rest is not necessarily where they reproduce.
The reef acts as a natural GPS for species on the move.
The reef itself almost creates a barrier which creates a highway for animals to guide and navigate by.
But when they're traveling, species are at their most vulnerable. The busy corridor makes them an easy target for fishers.
Because they're predictable in their migratory nature and they get intercepted as they move from site 1 to site 2.
Graham's nonprofit, Mar Alliance, seeks to protect all marine life using the highway, but she throws the most weight behind the fiercest of ocean predators.
Sharks really do have a bad rap, I have to say. And this is one of the things that we absolutely love to dispel.
Researchers estimate that while sharks kill 10 or fewer humans a year worldwide, humans are killing 100 million sharks in the same time, primarily for consumption in shark fin soup, a popular dish in China and Southeast Asia.
The primary threat to sharks is unquestionably overfishing. What we're seeing is a highly threatened set of species, and they're so critical to the health of our oceans, primarily because they help regulate a range of other species that they feed on. So they keep their populations in check.
At the Lighthouse Atoll, 50 miles east of the coast of Belize, Mar Alliance is conducting long-term monitoring to assess the damage caused by overfishing. Rather than acting in opposition with the local fishing community, Graham likes to bring them on board.
They are the ones who are on the sea every single day. They have PhDs of the sea. And they are also the ones who are going to decide the long-term fate of sharks and of fish.
Graham is working with fishers to tag sharks as a method of gauging population levels. Together, they've learned that more sharks in the ocean means more fish of all varieties.
To all my fellow fishermen, I want to give you this message. Conserve sharks, because in the future, sharks can provide us with an income. Not being dead or by fishing them, but being alive.
Which benefits the daily catch and also brings opportunities for ecotourism to the region.
We try to work with them to find these alternatives where you decrease the fishing effort on sharks and they find supplementary income somewhere else.
The adaptations made by the fishing communities have had an impact.
What we're seeing now is nothing less than miraculous. We are seeing a comeback of sharks. We can say we've seen a 10-fold increase in sharks. That means we'll be reversing the decline in a range of other species that tend to be associated with sharks and their critical habitats. So it's a win-win strategy for everybody across the board.
Finding economic alternatives to harmful fishing practices, particularly in marine corridors, is a subject close to the heart of our guest editor and CEO of BirdLife International, Patricia Zarita.
The most important thing is that Rachel is teaching and working with these communities to protect their long-term gains. It's about shifting the mentality of having short-term gains that are going to completely destroy the reef and they're going to have to leave because there's no living from there, to thinking about long-term and sustainable use that is going to allow them to be benefiting from the reef in the long run.
Coming up next, one of Canada's crucial natural highways intersects with a major man-made highway. How to help wildlife cross one of the world's longest roads.
Wherever you go in the world, one airline goes further to make it feel exceptional. Qatar Airways, going places together.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
This is Canada's oldest national park, visited by more than 4 million people every year for its amazing mountains and breathtaking natural beauty. But there is a scar running through it, the Trans-Canada Highway.
It's the biggest highway in Canada, and it goes from coast to coast. And here in this valley, it happens to cut a national park in half.
This and other roads in the region make it almost impossible for animals trying to move through their territory. But despite the risks, they will keep trying.
It represents a real barrier for all sorts of different wildlife, from big wildlife like grizzly bears and wolves to smaller wildlife that really over the long term need to be connected across this valley in order to sustain their genetics, find the resources they need, and maintain healthy populations.
Jody Hilty is president and chief scientist of Y2Y, a conservation initiative out to expand habitat from Yellowstone to the Yukon.
The vision is about connecting and protecting this region from Wyoming all the way up to the Arctic Circle in the Yukon so that both people and nature can thrive.
Preventing road collisions is a #1 priority in maintaining wildlife connectivity.
The Trans-Canada Highway today has about 22,000 cars per day. And so for wildlife that are looking to get across this highway, they either approach and turn around because it's just too scary with all those cars, or they approach and often get hit on that highway. So, and for humans, it can be a disaster. Who wants to have an elk land in your lap when you're going 110 kilometers an hour?
But disaster can be averted in the form of wildlife crossings, bridges like this one, and underpasses too can offer a lifeline.
Today there are 117 crossing structures. This new overpass outside of Canmore will be the 118th structure.
Fencing along the side of the road funnels animals towards the crossing.
It's not something that we put it up tomorrow and the next day wildlife are using them, but it's something that takes a little bit of time. You actually see, for some animals like grizzly bears, they're teaching their young where these structures are.
A few miles away, a wildlife ecologist for Parks Canada is making sure animals are finding their way to the safety of the crossings. Jesse Whittington is checking footage from a camera trap.
Candid camera shots of wildlife just living their lives without being influenced by our activities. You just never know what you're going to find. The wolf that we just detected on this camera could easily be at our nearest underpass in 20 minutes, and I'll be curious to see if this animal shows up there. We've been monitoring wildlife use of these wildlife crossing structures since 1996, so in that time we've documented over 187,000 wildlife crossings. That's a sign that these crossing structures work. It has reduced wildlife mortality by 96% for elk and deer and over 80% for carnivores like wolves and grizzly bears. So not only do these animals live, it improves connectivity throughout the landscape.
For Jody Hilty, connecting the dots for wildlife means that crossings like this need to be extended across the globe.
We need to get to a point where when roads become busier, it becomes part of normal societal practice that we create safe passage for wildlife across roads.
Industrial growth doesn't have to conflict with the health of our planet, says our guest editor and CEO of BirdLife International, Patricia Zurita.
The conservation community is not against development. What we are after is thinking development as humans being part of a wider system species. Like these roads, we want to connect ourselves. We want to be able to travel from one place to the other. But what we want is to make sure that we're planning this in a way that is allowing us to maintain the mobility of these species that have been using these routes longer than us.
Up next, from the bears to the bees, even the smallest of species need to get around.
No holds barred.
Out front tonight, hypocrite in chief.
No nonsense.
How stupid do you think we are?
Because getting to the truth matters. Aaron Burnett Out Front, Tuesday to Saturday on CNN.
This is a really important story.
My name's Clarissa Ward. I work for CNN. Assalamu alaikum.
Day in, day out, you see the reality of people living through this.
Ничего страшного.
Okay.
This is the front line.
On a human level, you find courage, sacrifice. This is what life is about.
A lot of people are wondering why.
You see the worst of humanity.
Putin might use a nuclear weapon.
Absolutely terrifying.
But you also see the best of humanity. My job is to be present.
The human cost is right here.
And to tell these stories.
We're talking about families.
That is the most important thing.
I'm Clarissa Ward in Ukraine.
This
is CNN.
Pollinators are really important to us as human beings because they provide a lot of the food we eat. Our shelves would be very empty in the supermarkets if we didn't have pollinators. They're also really important for beauty. Walking through the countryside, imagine hearing a silent countryside without the hum of insects, sitting down in a meadow and listening to that buzz.
Since growing up on a farm in the UK's West Midlands, Kate Jones has noticed that problems for insects have magnified.
Pollinators are in trouble, and I suppose the top issues that they're facing are habitat loss and degradation, climate change, pesticides and chemicals. So they're facing quite a cocktail of threats. The biomass of insects is reducing, and you'll often hear people talking about, oh, back in my day when I used to drive the car, I'd be wiping the insects off my screen, and that has stopped happening.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, Patricia. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Knowing the relationship between species health and our own survival is another motivator for our guest editor, Patricia Zarita, as she sets out to protect nature's highways.
So this is an amazing, beautiful example of a really traditional hay meadow field system that's just packed full of wildflowers.
You have all of these pollinators coming in and to this safe haven, and then going into the crops and pollinating what ends up being our food later.
Yeah, exactly. So it's why it's our responsibility to make sure that they can move outside of these areas.
Bug Life, a British conservation charity, has recorded a nearly 60% decline in flying insects in just the last 17 years in the UK.
Urban sprawl, agricultural intensification has left our countryside and our landscape quite a hard environment to move around. It's very energy costing to fly if you're a bumblebee, and you need regular pit stops, you need regular fuel stops, so you need your nectar-rich flowers. So if they come across an intensively farmed area that hasn't worked in any provision for habitat or flowering plants, then you've got a long way to go before your next pit stop, before you fuel up.
To remedy this, they're working to create an insect superhighway known as beelines, linking together habitat to help struggling pollinators.
They've created a map, which is basically a blueprint that joins up all the remaining wildflower-rich habitats, shows us where we need to put wildflowers into the countryside to create a stepping stone effect.
The Beelines network identifies corridors up to 2 miles wide. The intention is not to fill them all, but to dot the routes with patches of wildflowers. From large-scale farms like this one to urban parks like this one, where Bug Life is planting a nectar-rich pollinator garden. For when it comes to connecting insects, no area is too small.
Even a little plant pot or a raised bed in your local park or on your windowsill, absolutely anything. If there's a patch of green, a patch of flowers, that helps, that contributes towards the beeline.
What's lovely about looking after and watching insects, because they respond so quickly to work. If you plant next to rich flowers and spend some time watching them, you will see bees coming into your garden, you will see hoverflies, you will see moths and butterflies, and that is having an impact. In the UK and the world over.
The CEO of BirdLife International does not discriminate between the importance of creatures great and small, protecting their habitats on land, sea, or air.
Whether it is this chain of meadows that allows the little bees to connect and be able to pollinate not only these fantastic flowers, but also the food that we use, or these amazing whale sharks and the large corridor in the reef that allows them to migrate and breed and feed, or the tracts of land that connects the Yukon to Yellowstone, that enables these wolves and bears that have been migrating for years and being able to connect and move as they have been doing over history, or the flyways, that is this connection of wetlands that enables us to have the birds being able to go north to breed or go south to winter. It's that connectivity and that magic of nature being in balance that allows us to have these nature highways alive and surviving.
Call to Earth, in partnership with Rolex and their Perpetual Planet Initiative.
We think of the metaverse as the next iteration of social media. And although there's only a few 100,000 people using it today, we anticipate that over the next few years, there's going to be millions of people joining these platforms and eventually billions of people using these platforms. This is not a fad. I mean, we can look at companies like Facebook doing the largest rebrand in history to Meta. We can look at companies like Samsung. Even the fashion brands like Gucci, Balenciaga, Adidas, and Nike are all establishing a presence there. And so what I would say to people that are still skeptical, say this is, maybe are the same type of people that were skeptical about social media and its impact on advertising, and maybe even people who are skeptical about the internet. My prediction is that within 24 months, every single large corporation is going to have to need a presence in the metaverse in the same way that they need a website.
Tuesday, celebrate with fireworks and music from Pitbull, Maren Morris, Machine Gun Kelly, Journey, Gloria Estefan, T-Pain, the Doobie Brothers, and more. Celebrate the 4th in America, live Tuesday on CNN.
When you travel the world, make sure the world travels with you. Check in, log on, and get connected with all of the latest developments at your fingertips. CNN Partner Hotels, connected to your world.
Across Africa, businesses are working together like never before. All new on CNN, Connecting Africa.
Join me and Lenny Jokos as we crisscross the continent to show you how new connections are revolutionizing commerce in Africa. This month, Connecting Africa from the Africa CEO Forum here in Côte d'Ivoire.
This forum really brings Africans together.
Connecting Africa on CNN, in association with Afreximbank.
I'm Paulo Sandoval in Bogota, Colombia, and this is CNN.
African Voices Changemakers, in association with Glow Unlimited.
Welcome to African Voices Changemakers. I'm Aritopo. Animation can be a powerful way to bring stories to life. In Morocco, we meet an award-winning animator who is using her craft to bring the African story to the world stage.
I believe that animation can bring a lot of values through the stories, through the characters. And with diversity and inclusion, it's really important that we use these topics into animation, because we can have families watching together. So together they will learn and they will be used to more diversity and inclusion in this kind of content.
Hi, I'm Mounia Aram. I love Africa, I love animation, and I'm a change maker.
Moroccan animation executive Mounia Aram grew up like a lot of children do, watching cartoons, enamored by the stories playing out through fictional characters on her TV screen.
I was always in love with animation. Animation was my babysitter when I was a kid. So for me it made sense to end up doing my career in this industry. So I'm always in love with the characters and the stories that are brought through animation.
Mounia spent most of her youth in France and lives there today. But to her, Morocco will always be home.
I was born in Casablanca. Morocco is in my DNA. I'm Moroccan, I speak Moroccan, I eat Moroccan, I sleep Moroccan. Yeah, I love Morocco. I've always been connected to my country, to my city, and to the people there, because I still have family, I have cousins, I have uncles, aunts, everybody's there.
Today, she runs her own animation business called the Mounia Aram Company, currently run out of her Paris-based office.
Mounia Aram Company is a company specialized in African animation, production and distribution. My goal is to bring the African animation to the international markets.
The company aims to champion the African continent, both on screen and behind the scenes, by distributing stories about Africans by African production companies. Some of the animation projects currently in development include Lolo out of South Africa, Tutu from Ghana, Kalu Hunters from Cameroon, and Arjana from Kenya.
Why not bring more black characters into animation, more African stories, more African superheroes in animation, so the kids will watch it? So we hope that in the future kids will not be bullied because of the color of their skins, because they will be used to see diverse content with diverse characters, with superheroes that are black or white or any colors.
Her work in diversity is getting noticed.
I won the Black in Animation Award in November 2021 in the Cultural Innovator category. It was such an honor, and I was super emotional because I've been working hard, and it's a hard journey for me as an entrepreneur, as a woman coming from the diaspora, from Morocco. Yeah, it was an honor, and for me it meant that I can move forward with my goal and my company.
She says doing improv in high school helped her become the leader she is today.
I started improv when I was 15. Here is the space where we used to train with my fellows. We were 6 players with a coach, and we train every Tuesday night. I used to be super shy. Improv helped me a lot fighting my shyness, so I was able to speak in a public space in front of more than 100 of people. I became very confident and being able to speak about anything in front of the crowd. And this is really useful now in my career, because I can pitch to anyone, any people in front of me. I'm not scared, I'm not shy. In the animation industry, you have to convince people to come on board with you, to producers, broadcasters. That's what we call the pitch. And to be good at pitching, I use my skills that I learned through improvisation.
Next, we follow Mounia to Morocco, where she's guiding new animators.
₦20,000 for free. 20,000 naira bonus.
Is your line blocked?
then move to Glow.
I'm reconnected. Because we've all reconnected. And it's simple, simple.
Dial *109# and link your NIN to your new or existing Glow number. Get up to 20,000 naira for free with Glow.
20,000 naira bonus free.
Yes, so free.
Naija, what are you waiting for?
The data shows that the Caribbean and Latin America have some of the highest rates of sex crimes in the world, and sex crimes ties into human trafficking. My name is Jonathan Bagan. I'm based in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm an attorney at law and also chairman of the Caribbean Committee Against Sex Crimes. Say 10 years ago, it was said, even in my country, that nobody should speak out about human trafficking because they will come to get you, the mafia. Now that hundreds of people know about it and are speaking out against it, that darkness has been destroyed, and now we're bringing the issue into the light. Schools across Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago, the students were really positive about it. They wrote poems, spoken word poems, they made videos.
I've risen and believed.
And those videos went on to the local media, onto the radio and television.
On arrival, you are forced into captivity and a life of servitude.
So the students were inspired to see their fellow students being connected to CNN International. A lot of kids now know the signs of human trafficking, what it is and how to avoid it. So we may have saved some lives. My Freedom Day helped raise awareness, educate children, and I hope it inspires politicians and the governments across the region to do more to stop this crime from happening. It's impactful and important, and we hope to do even better next year.
Moroccan animation advocate Mounia Aram is on a mission to bring African talent into the spotlight.
Non, mais c'est plutôt pas mal ce que tu fais. Moi, j'aime beaucoup.
Today, she's mentoring a group of up-and-coming creatives at Technopark in Agadir, Morocco.
Hi everybody, thank you for coming. So I'm Mounia Aram. I'm the founder and president of Mounia Aram Company, a company that is specialized in African animation. So we produce African stories into animation from different countries in Africa. They come from different parts, so from Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana. And I'm here if you want to talk and if you want to know more about what we are doing into animation, and if you want to work together, then I will be happy to discuss with you.
I'm interested in knowing what you do. Can you show me?
Of course. Like here, for example, this is one of my work with one of my clients. We work internationally in branding design.
This is nice. It looks nice, yeah.
She's also meeting with university directors to discuss setting up animation training courses.
The training program that we are thinking about, it's a collaboration between a famous animation school in France and the University of Ibn Sahour. There's no point in thinking about having an animation industry here if we don't train the people. So that's why I decided to meet the president of the university to think about something that we can build together in terms of training. I want to train local talents to give them the tools to be competitive in the international market, because I want the Moroccan and African animation industry to be competing with American animation industry, with European industry, and all over the world. They will know that we do a great job, but first we need to be trained.
This area is also where Mounia is aiming to launch her Moroccan-based office.
I'm starting my studio in Morocco at Technopark in Agadir because it's an ecosystem there. There are people from startups industry, like tech, innovation, and it's great to feel the energy and the creativity that is there. I'm originally from the south, from Agadir. My father, he's retired and he lives in Agadir. And I didn't want to go to a big city like Casablanca. I want to go to the city where I come from and where the talents are. And they need to do something new. And they are expecting for innovation and being part of the international industry in every kind of aspect. So bringing animation industry in Agadir and in the region of Souss Massa is really great for them and for me.
Mounia says her career has taken her many places, and it started with an internship in California.
I had the opportunity to go to San Francisco. First it was to improve my English, but then I got this huge opportunity to join this animation company. Actually, they were a Japanese animation company. That was a great experience for me. I was the assistant of the sales department, learning everything on the business side, and I stayed there for almost a year. I have a few role models that inspired me through my career. There's this man who's very talented and super powerful in the animation industry. It's Aton Soumache. He works for Method Animation. He was mentoring me when at some point I was a bit confused about where I'm going in my career. And he told me if I believe in Africa, I should go for African content. And he was the one who pushed me in being an entrepreneur because I was scared. I was freaking out. And I told him, yeah, I don't know if I can make it. I mean, I'm nothing. And he said, no, you can. You can if you have a strong message and if you believe in what you're doing. And if you think Africa will matter and Africa matters now, do it. And I said, okay, if this guy tell me that, I will do it. And I did. And I'm doing it still.
She says her company works with a lot of different African creatives.
I found local talents to collaborate with me, first through social media, and then I came all the way to Morocco to meet some associations that are doing great in terms of media and culture. I've met in Tiznit with an association, Espoir Tiznit, and the complex cinematographic of Tiznit, where they're doing an amazing job in terms of training, in terms of co-working spaces, and giving access to the media and culture in this beautiful place in Tiznit. Thank you again for having me in Tiznit and in your complex. And what are you doing exactly?
So here we work with young people. We also do training in editing, stop motion.
We got to check out some of their work.
This is how we can move the design as well. So the kids, he do that, and this is very, very important, and an experience is very, very different in our city.
I'm really impressed, and this is great that you are using recycled material. This is good job. Thank you. Thank you for showing me.
Thank you very much.
Munia has big dreams for the future of African animation.
My dream is to be the African Pixar. Yeah, I'm very ambitious. And I believe that it's possible. We're going to make it happen. It's just a matter of having the right partners, and I want to work with all countries in Africa and all companies that are existing in Africa. So let's do that together. Let's bring all our countries together to build a big and strong African animation industry.
Times 10! Get a Glow SIM today and enjoy 1,000 Naira sign-on bonus for voice and data. All new and existing Glow subscribers also get 10 times the value of their every recharge, plus up to double their data recharge as bonus. All Glow subscribers also get up to free 20,000 Naira bonus for voice and data.
We're here at the home of one of the FSB team. Was it your team that poisoned Navalny?
What do you want the world to know?
People are so exhausted. Just gonna help her carry this bag.
Scores of Taliban fighters, and just behind us, the U.S. Embassy.
I'm the one who has to look them in the eye. Can I have your word? These people are depending on you.
Now they're pressing in. They want desperately to tell their stories.
Coronavirus. To get daily news updates in your inbox, sign up for the CNN newsletter. Coronavirus. Fact versus fiction.
Animation is a constantly evolving art form. We're going to introduce you to one changemaker who has long been at the forefront of Uganda's animation industry. And now, he's using his skills to train the next generation of creatives.
When you look at animation, it's not about cartoon. My dream was to tell African stories. So what we are bringing, related content, educational and entertaining, so that even children of African descent worldwide can be able to be led to the cartoons. Hi, I'm a 3D animator, a trainer, empowering youth to change the African narrative through modern storytelling. My name is David Masanso. I am a change maker.
David Masanso brings sketches to life through animation.
Welcome to Crossroad Digital Multimedia, a local animation studio here in Uganda.
His animation hub creates everything from commercials to short films and TV series.
We are working on Mukago, which is a children animation TV series based on local African games interwoven with STEM. So the need for this show is to solve the problem of lack of content in Africa. Animation is going to be a drive for the education in Africa. As internet is getting cheaper, smartphones are getting cheaper, there are so many TV. So I think now it's bridging between the content and the education system.
With every click of a button, David is fulfilling his childhood dream.
When I was young, I was introduced to cartoons. So that's where I picked my interest.
Oh, impressive wingspan. Very good.
When I watched the first 3D computer animation film, Toy Story, and watched these cartoons moving around, I thought that we Africans, we can be able also to animate our own content. So it inspired me a lot. How can we make our own content, tell African stories with characters which relate to us? I had an opportunity to go to study animation in UK, and my dream was how to come back to Africa and set up a studio. The day I got an opportunity to study animation, I thought I was crossing roads. That's why we are called Crossroads.
While David's company has won awards, he says it wasn't easy being a pioneer in Uganda's animation industry.
Coming back to Africa, animation was totally new industry. When we started Crossroads in 2011, one of the problems we faced was lack of skills. So in 2012, we created a program for training young animators to join our pipeline. So that was the honor, because in Uganda at that time, there was no school or university empowering youth with skills in animation. Our training has been growing year after year. We have trained over 200 animators. This is another space at Crossroads where we do our training from. Some of them are interns from one of the universities, a local university in Uganda, so they are training in character animation. From here, some of them join our projects.
As his team continues to grow, David is determined to make the industry more inclusive.
Women animation was founded because we didn't have female or ladies on our pipeline. So the objective was to inspire more girls, and we partner with universities. We do practical workshops and share skills with the universities interns, totally women. Then at the end of the day, we get them on animation projects. And also Women Animation Uganda, it's not just Uganda, we have impacted even beyond Uganda. Last year we had a workshop with a team of girls in Zimbabwe, with Women Animation sharing their skills with the team in Zimbabwe for women.
He says women now make up about half of the company's workforce.
The success of Crossroads is not only about David, there are so many people we have worked with, whether I've trained them who have contributed to our success. Teamwork and sharing skills is very, very important.
Today, David is working with some younger team members to produce the studio's hit show, Mukago.
Already talked about that. I want to hear about the bird.
A hornbill.
Play faster. We're getting bored.
I'm sorry. I don't know how.
At Crossroads Digital Multimedia, the studio, we work with children. It's one of our programs. We train them in voice acting because it's part of the pipeline in animation production. So the children project we are working on, the Mukago TV series. So we selected a couple of kids who are doing voice acting. So the two inside there are one of the voice actors. Also, we pay them, we sign with their parents. So It's an opportunity in the animation industry, not only for the older one and the youth, but also for the young one to start earning in voice acting. We produce local content. And the importance of children accessing local content is also becoming innovative, because I believe that if people can watch characters, can watch stories which relates to their daily life, they can be as innovative as the Western world.
Next, David shows us where he gets his inspiration.
₦20,000 for free. 20,000 naira bonus.
Is your line blocked? Then move to Glow. I'm reconnected. Because we've all reconnected. And it's simple, simple.
Dial *109# and link your NIN to your new or existing Glow number. Get up to 20,000 naira for free with Glow.
20,000 naira bonus free.
Yes, sir, free.
Niger, what are you waiting for?
Award-winning Ugandan animator David Masanso is sharing African stories with the world through animation. The founder of Crossroads Digital Multimedia says inspiration can be found all around us if you keep an open mind.
I spend a lot of time on the computer, but every evening I ride a bicycle. We are producing local content, so it's when I'm riding a bicycle, sometimes look at environment, even local kids playing. I'm inspired by the environment, the people, the plants, everything, because we are creative. You have to create things which relates to the audience. There are some projects you do just inspired by the child, what they are doing. When we are doing Mukago, we did a lot of research because it's local, to see how kids behave, because it's based on local games.
David credits his success to his team. Today, they're meeting to review some of their latest projects.
Martin, what inspired you to do this shoot when you're working on this shoot? What I loved is sharing skills, because when I was starting Crossroads, I was just only one person. The whole team now, we are around 46 animators. I think the more I share skills, the more to the youth, to the young ones, and we do something which is productive, sustainable, it keeps me going.
He says one of the biggest challenges he faced was figuring out how to manage a company during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Being a business leader really is you have to be able to solve problems. COVID was really a disaster, but also it gave us a new direction, how we think about our business, because we went into total lockdown. We had also to make sure that animators can be able to work from home. The internet in Africa is not as fast as the internet in the Western world.
Yet, they found a way to persevere and grow from the experience.
We learned a lot, because now most of our workers, or most of the animators, they work from home. They don't need to come at the studio. But also we revised our business model, because we had to move into other content production because of COVID.
With schools back in person, David is once again teaching about animation.
We are now partnering with Mackay University so that we can reach more youth for skill development. I'm just going to go through how to model a cartoon. I'll model for you a quick cartoon. So these are the geometries we use when we are modeling characters.
We have realized that giving only graphics and image editing